So, most of you can probably relate to what I'm feeling right now. My heart is racing in my chest. My palms are a little bit clammy. I'm sweating. And my breath is a little bit shallow. Now, these familiar sensations are obviously the result of standing up in front of 1,000 of you and giving a talk that might be streamed online to perhaps 1,000,000 more. But the physical sensations I'm experiencing right now are actually the result of a much more basic mind-body mechanism. My nervous system is sending a flood of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline into my bloodstream. It's a very old and very necessary response that sends blood and oxygen to the organs and muscles that I might need to respond quickly to a potential threat. But there's a problem with this response, and that is that it can get overactivated. If I face these kinds of stressors on a daily basis, particularly over an extended period of time, my system can get overloaded. So basically, if this response happens infrequently, super necessary for my well-being and survival. But if it happens too much, it can actually make me sick. There's a growing body of research examining the relationship between chronic stress and illness. Things like heart disease and even cancer are being shown to have a relationship to stress. And that's because, over time, too much activation from stress can interfere with my body's processes that keep me healthy. Now let's imagine for a moment that I was pregnant. What might this kind of stress, particularly over the length of my pregnancy, what kind of impact might that have on the health of my developing fetus? Now, you probably won't be surprised when I tell you that this kind of stress during pregnancy is not good. It can even cause the body to initiate labor too early because, in a basic sense, the stress communicates that the womb is no longer a safe place for the child. Stress during pregnancy is linked with things like high blood pressure and low infant birth weight. And it can begin a cascade of health challenges that make birth much more dangerous for both parent and child. Now, of course, stress, particularly in our modern lifestyle, is a somewhat universal experience, right? Maybe you've never stood up to give a TED Talk, but you've faced a big presentation at work, a sudden job loss, a big test, a heated conflict with a family member or friend. But it turns out that the kind of stress we experience, and whether we're able to stay in a relaxed state long enough to keep our bodies working properly, depends a lot on who we are. There's also a growing body of research showing that people who experience more discrimination are more likely to have poor health. Even the threat of discrimination, like worrying you might be stopped by police while driving your car, can have a negative impact on your health.
Harvard professor. Do you mind telling us what marginalized groups you are a member of?
I am a part of the African American and the Mexican American community. And that's how I fit into that.
What experiences have you had during your pregnancy that you feel were discriminatory solely due to those said marginalized groups?
Well, like I said, I had issues with my doctor, and then I had stuff going on with my family life. I would like to say it wasn't more so discrimination for me being Mexican. My discrimination was both towards my Blackness. So it did make me feel uncomfortable because, like, obviously, it was just like one part of me being just singled out.
Yeah.
With my doctor, with my first OB, she was a white lady. It was really hard for me to find OBs in my area due to my insurance. So I kind of just went with first come, first serve. And at first she was great, but I ended up having HG during my pregnancy. And it was really hard for her to even give me that diagnosis. I understand in the first trimester, most women have morning sickness. So I understand that hesitancy, but I really didn't get any help or any concern until I was like in my third trimester. So I ultimately just toughed it out. And I know with HG, that's pretty much what it is anyways, is toughing it out because you can't really get much help for it. It's just, she was very dismissive of me. I feel like I was very in tune with my body. I realized what I was going through was not just morning sickness. And I think she just thought I was trying to seek drugs because that's pretty much how she treated it. You know, she was like, oh, you know, this can't just be a Band-Aid. Like, you know, what is it that you want? I'm like, I just want like some confirmation that I'm not crazy. And then within my family, my my son's dad was Salvadoran. So his family was his mother was very, she would ask me questions like, I hope he doesn't come out dark like you. Obviously, like my hair, well, my natural hair outside of locks is very curly. My hair was in a fro when I was pregnant. And, she would always make a point to touch my hair and like make a prayer that my son's hair wasn't going to be like that. And like, that's not even what I was concerned about with my son. I was just like, as long as he comes out healthy, like, I'll be good.
Right.
Like, I don't care about anything else.
Right. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's awful. I'm so sorry. That's awful. Well, how do you feel like those things affected your pregnancy experience?
I feel like both of them definitely cast a shadow because it was kind of like a duality. Like I didn't feel safe at my doctor, and I didn't really feel safe or heard and like with family either, because I voiced my concerns to both of those people. With my OB, I was like, I'm really sick. Something is really wrong. I'm not seeking drugs. Like I got more help from a support group on Facebook from women with HG than I got from the woman I was paying, to help me that was supposed to deliver my child. When she finally did diagnose me, at that point, I didn't even care, like get out of my face. And then with my family too, like, we should be celebrating this baby. We should be having happy things. They should be excited that my ultrasounds don't show anything wrong with my child, that he's gonna, come on time and that I'm healthy. Like, why are you adding extra stress? I just felt like both were extra stress and making me really like depressed.
I'd like you to think back, only if it's a safe space, to take your mind and describe to me how you felt physically when those events occurred, mentally and emotionally. You kind of went into mentally already, but the other, physically and emotionally.
I think physically with my doctor, I don't condone physical violence, but I at moments felt like I was going to get in her face. I just felt so angry that I could feel it all over myself. Like, why aren't you listening to me? Will you listen to me if I'm yelling, if I show you how angry I am? And then with my son's grandma, I just felt like disgust ultimately, because I've been raised in that environment. I'm already, I'm Black and Mexican, so I know how it is sometimes with those prejudice already, where you grow up and as a kid, how people, like how that's taken in, like how can you love somebody if you don't love everything about them? And then I felt very like gaslit by her, because she would kind of turn it like, well, he's going to be a boy and you know how America treats Black boys. And I'm like, I know that, but I also know like I'm going to have a Black boy. Right. He's a boy and he's Black. So, that's not my problem. That's America's problem.
Right.
So I felt just like disgusted, like you're not doing anything within your family to fix those issues. Like let's say he is born looking like me or darker than me, or, like you should make it safe for him to feel strong and loved and validated in all of that. Not like, well, I didn't want you to have curly hair.
Right.
So I just felt disgust, like I was going to puke.
Yeah. Oh.